Hi guys, I just began to play my Barry playthrough. I was heading off to Nuka World and I got into some combat and I realised that VATS is just, it's even more powerful than I remember it to be. I did a few fights and honestly there was zero tension. I was taking on all sorts of things, but for example this behemoth, I mean, look how slowly it moves towards me. It's unbelievable. And because of the way I've got the build, I'm probably going to drop him before he even gets here. There you go. So I've been messing around with some mods. And for example, right now, I've got it set so that I cannot engage quite as close. I've got to get that close before I can engage with VATS. So as you can see, that is actually quite reduced distance for, you know, for normal VATS. You can normally engage even at long range. Now you have to get reasonably close. The other changes are that the damage reduction in VATS is normally 90%, i.e. any damage you take is reduced by 90%. You only take a tenth of the damage. But with the mods I'm using, you take full damage. But once you go into VATS, let's get this thing's attention so it's running at us. Oi. Once you go into VATS, you'll see time is actually moving a little faster than normal. And once I actually start shooting, time goes normal speed. Oh, God. And I can die reasonably easily, actually. The other alternative is something like V.A.T.S, which replaces the auto-targeting with a kind of bullet time. As you can see, I still use action points whenever I fire, and I still get crits. I can fire a critical and then shoot, although it doesn't see... Whoa! Okay. As I was saying, it doesn't seem like I get the critical effect of this weapon, because what should actually happen now is when I fire the critical, I should get... Oh, I got it. I got my full action points back from this weapon. So I still get the critical effects. Okay. Okay, that's gonna... No. Did that hit me? No, it didn't. Okay, let's get a little distance. Oh, that hit me. That hit me. That definitely hit me. Oh! I'm gonna die. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, I'm going to have to concentrate a lot more when using something like V.A.T.S. I wonder if that's a better weapon. This weapon actually builds my crits sooner, although it definitely uses my action points faster too. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I mean it's definitely a little more exciting than the vanilla VATS. So that's it really. It's a choice between V.A.T.S and VATS. VATS will require a slight adjustment to my play style, probably. You know, it means I have to be slightly more situationally aware, but I suppose that's partly why it's exciting. If I go for the mods for VATS, I will still be able to play as a VATS playthrough, but it will be a little tenser, that there'll be no damage reduction, and the enemies will move quickly and shoot quickly. So if I don't end the fight within a few seconds, I'm probably going to be taking a fair amount of damage. As you can see, this character's not heavily armed. Although he does actually have a decent hat on. He has a trilby, which is 110 damage resistance because it's got ballistic weave. But he is not wearing the greatest... he's got a harness on. He's got a harness. Yes, I know there's better armor, but it would hide. It would hide the body. And that would just be wrong. Now, believe it or not,
What the fuck was that?
a lot of the problem is the fact that I'm level 49 and I have a ridiculously powerful weapon that does 176 damage per shot, and if I get a critical, refills my action points. But as you can see, I don't even need to use VATS. I don't need to rely on that to pretty much annihilate everything that I meet. For the average fight, I honestly don't think there is going to be much difference in VATS or a tweaked VATS, or even ignoring VATS and just shooting things the way I did with Frank. When it comes down to it, I'm powerful. I'm probably going to annihilate most things in the Commonwealth without thought, and there's very little that's going to change that. However, Nuka World, of course, is a tougher environment. I seem to remember the raiders and a lot of the creatures you find being far tougher than you find here in the Commonwealth. And that's when the fights get interesting, and that's what I don't want to ruin with an overpowered VATS. And currently, my opinion is VATS is insanely overpowered. When I can kill a behemoth without even breaking a sweat. Now, I am, again, level 49 with a hand cannon, and Kellogg's weapon is actually overpowered for a VATS build. It's probably the most overpowered weapon in the game if you choose your perks correctly, because it refills the action points on a critical hit. Now, I've got perks that refill my action points non-stop and regenerate my critical hits non-stop, but when you add this weapon, it adds an element of control to that, and I can pretty much stay in VATS more or less 99.9% of the time. Of course, that does mean one option is to just leave this weapon behind. Leave this weapon behind, use a slightly modified VATS, and see how it goes. Or just give VATS a try. I don't know, which is why I'm making this video, because I kind of want to get some feedback. Now, I'm not playing this DLC for intense combat. That's not the idea. I want to see Nuka World from the perspective of a raider. I obviously missed one fairly substantial side of that DLC. That is what I'm trying to do. I realise that Nuka World is almost certainly filled with far tougher enemies, and I will have a harder time of it, but I don't want to completely trivialise it. I really don't. And in its vanilla state, with the weapons I've got, with this Kellogg's pistol, it really does make the game a no-brainer from the point of view of combat. I might as well set the difficulty on easy and just walk through it for the story. I don't want to do that. I do want to have some tough fights, but I want to do it in a way that doesn't change the playstyle of Barry, which is very much to stand there, pull out his weapon, and just start shooting things, you know. I mean, that's Barry. He doesn't go into tactics too much. I don't mind a bit of movement if I'm being hit by a behemoth, because, hey, but I don't want to change things too much. So I'm thinking either heavily modded VATS or VATS, and I may even leave this pistol behind. This pistol may be a big part of the problem. It does refill the action points when you get a crit. It is yet more power for a build that's already insanely powerful, so I might leave it behind. So, leave suggestions down below, as long as those suggestions are not, don't play Fallout 4, Fallout 4 sucks. I want to experience Nuka World as a raider. That's the aim. That is the aim for this particular playthrough, because I've not seen that side of it, and I'm going to. So, comments down below. Thank you for keeping them constructive, he says.